Okay, everybody. Good Tuesday evening. It's Alex with you in the Fox 54 Digital Weather Center. As you just saw in that previous graphic, it's another edition of Weather Aware Live. We had some sound issues, fixed those. We're good to go now. And if you're tuning in, good evening. Hope you're having a nice start to the week. Obviously, the weather's cooperated overall. Nothing too significant to kick things off so far this week. Don't think we're going to see a whole lot for tomorrow or Thursday either. As we were talking about even yesterday, the first 4 days are nice and quiet. It's when you get to Friday, Saturday, Sunday that we start to see a little bit more noisy weather, if you will. Nothing disruptive. Everything's behaving, but we are going to see wet conditions moving back in once we get to the weekend and even to kick things off on Friday. So if you're just joining us, good evening. This is another edition of Weather Aware Live, a more interactive weather segment. And speaking of interactive, actually going to be viewing your Facebook comments here on Weather Aware Live. So if you have a question about the forecast, you have a question about maybe Tropical Storm Erin, anything like that, it's a good time to be able to do that. And we love to answer your questions and kind of chat a little bit. It's just more interactive. So hope you're joining us tonight on Weather Aware Live. And again, thanks for tuning in to another edition here. We got lots to get to on the board. There we go. Angelina, good evening. And there we go. We do have sound. So sound is back. Hope everybody can hear this okay. But nonetheless, the forecast is pretty active, but it's not in any bad ways. And that's the number one good thing that we're talking about tonight is just actually what could be more promising in the forecast here. So again, let's go ahead and get right to it. I'm going to go ahead and back off this graphic and show you the next couple of days. We're dry tonight. We're going to stay dry. Here's what tomorrow and Thursday look like. More or less, we're going to see hot temperatures, low 90s. Some spots could creep up as high as 93, 94 on a given day. And on top of that, there's going to be little to no rain. I think 30% on Thursday could even be a bit high. It just depends on the timing of this cold front. And we know this cold front coming in is going to be one, believe it or not, that brings us probably our lowest humidity of the season since maybe the month of May, dare I say. So that's the good news in the forecast is this coming cold front, it'll bring us that. But here's the catch with that, right? There's always a catch in August with a cold front. It's going to take until next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to start to feel those less muggy conditions. We got 3 days in a row where rain is going to be a part of the forecast. So we'll let you know about that here in just a second. As for tomorrow and Thursday, beautiful. No problems. It's perfect out there. I mean, it's still going to be toasty, but for August, we'll take what we can get. And this is the setup, and we're going to get into Erin coming up in just a moment. Just know that Erin brings no changes to our forecast and no threats in our forecast, okay? So Erin is sitting, by Friday, it's going to be sitting to the north and east of us. It's going to be sitting in the northeast U.S. offshore, away from it. So as Erin continues to boot out off to sea and away from the U.S. coastline, the backside northeast flow of it and high pressure in the Midwest, they're going to act in tandem and drag that cold front down to the south. Now, remember, it's going to take an extra kick to get that front behind us and down further south of our area. So the cold front will get past us, but first, Friday through Sunday, it's going to stall. And when we get a stalled front with all this moisture this time of year, it's like putting a fire hose and just turning it on full blast here in the CSRA. So we're going to get a good chunk of rain. Some of us will, especially. I think 2 to 3 inches during that 3-day window. Very possible in a few spots. Not everywhere, but a good chunk of us anyway. And it's going to keep coming in, off and on. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you see it there in the extended forecast. Again, tracking what will be more or less scattered showers and thunderstorms. I think because the cloud cover is going to be a consistent part of it for such a long time, I do think that could stabilize the atmosphere, and instead of seeing all the time thunderstorms, we're going to see off and on showers with some levels of thunder mixed in. We've seen this pattern before. Jenny, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate that. Thanks, Crystal, as well. And again, we're watching Hurricane Erin as well, but that's no threat to us. So if you're tuning in to find out more about Erin, there's no threat, simply put. I've had so many people ask me on Facebook Messenger over the past several days, is Erin, I saw this on Facebook, I saw this online. We like to call it hogwash here in the digital studio. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. Some people are not that good at forecasting the weather, and some people are doing it to scare you. They're doing it to make money outside of, their actual occupation, and they're doing it to just hype things a little bit. So make sure not to believe any of that jargon that hypes a storm up. If it's bad, we'll tell you. Erin, like we've talked about, even going all the way back to last week, nothing with it. But the front that's coming down, that's going to be more impactful on our weather. Now, still not expecting severe weather, but Friday through Sunday, looks like a decent chunk of rain is going to be moving in. And in this 7-day forecast, you'll see it here. Noticeably different once you get to next week, right? You're saying, well, if the cold front arrives next week, why are my temperatures at 90 on Monday and Tuesday at 86? The cooler temperatures Friday through Sunday are because of clouds and rainfall, okay? So that's not necessarily due to a cooler, drier air mass. Our average high this time of year is at about 93, 92 degrees. Okay, so once you get to that average high, next week we are expecting below average temperatures. No, we're not going to be in the 50s or the 40s for overnight lows. We'll fall into the mid-60s. But for this time of year, it's actually kind of refreshing, especially when the air is dry. Have a little bit more of that crisp feel to it. And let's get back to this before we start diving into the tropics. Here's the rainfall output, and this is the European model. And the European model's output, I usually trust it a pretty good bit because it does pick up on these stalled fronts. So this is Friday, right? Friday afternoon and evening, that's when the rain starts to pick up. I think some of that could happen as early as Friday morning, though, so don't be fooled. All day Friday, all day Saturday, and all day Sunday, we will have a rain chance. That does not mean it is going to rain all day, all 3 of those days. It means there is a chance of rain all 3 of those days, all day long. So looking into the extended forecast, you're simulating kind of what's ahead, and you see that there. I mean, some of these rainfall model outputs actually modest. We go into Sunday and you see some of those totals are heaviest around I-16. There's a large margin of error as to where that heavy rain could sit. We do know that areas along and south of Interstate 20 are going to see the highest rainfall totals. But some isolated pockets up to 2 to 3 inches are very possible, often on showers and storms, and it's going to be a wet, unsettled pattern. So for your weekend plans, just remember, low to mid-80s, cloudy skies, showers, and thunderstorms. That's what we're anticipating if the rainfall actually performs to that level. If it doesn't rain as much, we'll probably be in the mid to upper 80s. Then we heat up Monday because there's not going to be any rain around. But this front that's moving in early next week, it's not even as much about the temperatures as it is the moisture in the air. Look at that dew point in Nashville, 42 degrees. That's not something you see every day. Dew points will sink into the 50s north of I-85. For us, I think the dew points will shift into the low 60s, maybe some upper 50s for dew points. I think the Euro's a little aggressive there. But still, I think Monday and Tuesday you will see noticeably lower humidity. We'll keep the cooler conditions around for Wednesday, but that moisture is going to pick back up as that front wobbles back to the north. So we'll be on the dry side of it at least Tuesday and Monday. Wednesday into the late week, it's not a guarantee yet, so we'll keep you posted on that. But what we do know is that lower humidity is coming into the forecast. Here's Erin. Okay, and Erin continues that move to the north. That's in the last 6 hours. We've got that time lapse on, a 6-hour time lapse. You see it's not moving too far to the west. So if you're wondering, is this going to get closer than we think? The answer is no. It is going to thread the needle as it continues that journey to the north. And this is the latest 8 o'clock track. So again, it just continues that journey northward. It is going to move more so towards Salisbury, New York, those areas, they're going to be spared. This is going to shift off the coast, and it's going to stay off the coast of Nova Scotia and the Canadian Maritimes. Now let's go to a different sequence here, okay? This cluster of thunderstorms that we're watching, all right? Nothing much to it. I'm going to go ahead and try to reset this on, let's see, view. I'm going to go ahead and discontinue that. Trying to see your comments better. Something's acting up a little bit on my end. And there we go. All right. So if you have comments, let me know, and I'm looking through those as well here on Facebook on the website too. So trying to keep up as best as I can. Let's see. James, always a pleasure. Good evening, man. Hope you've been doing well. I'm sure you've gotten plenty of lightning pics over the past and video over the past several days. We've had some pretty eventful weather in the thunderstorm department. That's for sure. James, looking at this cone, obviously that wobble west, it looks like it, and we're just going to talk more about that. This is what we normally talk about, these stronger storms. Typically what you're going to see is that blocking ridge and that blocking trough to the north. That's what's going to push it out to the west, or to the east, I should say. So I'm not expecting it to clip Wilmington. I do think the Outer Banks of North Carolina definitely going to see some impacts off of it. We're talking about more so just the beach erosion, the waves washing out the beach a little bit, and some of those homes are like literally in the water. I mean, if you've seen the footage coming out of the Outer Banks, that is where Kill Devil Hills, all those areas, that's where we're seeing potential impacts with storm surge, flooding, and some of that beach erosion. But for us, again, no impacts are expected. And here's that latest area. We talked about this in our web article, Tracking the Tropics. Here it is. It's disorganized. There's not much to it right now, and the development is highly in question, okay? Here it is. And this is where the low pressure center's at, where you see the X. X marks the spot, right? There's the low pressure. The thunderstorms are on the south side of it. Normally, when you have an organized system, it's more uniform around the low pressure center. That's not the case here. It's mostly on the southwest side of it. So these storms, again, there's plenty of these areas to watch, but none of them right now are looking that healthy to develop. It's still a 60% chance that could become a tropical storm for non as we head into, say, the next several days here. So we're tracking that, keeping a close eye on it, but not very impressive. The system behind it actually does look a little bit more organized, and it's this one here. And you see there's one here. There's one here right off the coast. There's one on the coast, one right off of it, and one that's in the Atlantic Basin. And this is what we call the WADL, the West African Disturbance Line. All these areas of low pressure and thunderstorm clusters, they move in a train off into the Atlantic Basin, moving west, and that's where we usually see tropical development in August and even into September as well. So this is an area that we got to watch as we start to see an uptick in the WADL, West African Disturbance Line. But right now, just something to watch, and we're not seeing any threats at this time. So that's the good news. I'm going to see if I can show you something a little bit more in-depth here. And this system is one to watch into next week. We're looking at a cold front that's going to be moving in. See how much I got it. I'm going to extend this out into Wednesday, and there we go. Oh, that didn't do it. Yep. All right. All right. So what's going to be moving into the eastern U.S. Early next week is this cold front here, and that's the upper level wind. So you see the greens and the yellows. That's the actual cooler colors on your map. Those upper level winds signify the cold front that's going to be pushing in, okay? If the cold front is as advertised, it gets enough of a kick to stay far south, that's going to limit tropical development because the upper level winds will cut any tropical system apart. You see it there. All the winds are moving from west to east with that big dip in the jet stream, right? Well, in this scenario, if a tropical system's trying to move north from the Gulf into the CSRA, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work out. And big reason why is, what you're seeing here. If I've got a hurricane that's trying to move this way, the winds are ripping it apart because they're moving in the opposite direction. That's what we call wind shear. And that, in this case, in particular, looks like we are going to see a good chunk of it. And that's what's going to limit tropical development next week more than likely. So that's good. I'm not expecting anything tremendous with this system, and I think that we're going to stay away from the worst of it. That is for sure. So as for the forecast, again, Erin staying away. My gut says the tropics are going to quiet down. And as we move forward here, I don't think we're going to see a tropical threat past Erin in the vicinity of the United States. I think we'll stay quiet to finish the month of August. That's not a guarantee. That's just what my gut's saying right now, looking at the latest data and some more promising trends with this incoming cold front. Gwen, Amy, Brittany, good evening. Thanks for joining in. Appreciate that. Let's see. Gwen says, very grateful that Erin is staying out in the ocean, especially since we're recovering from Helene. Gwen, couldn't agree more, especially as we are inching up on the year anniversary of Hurricane Helene and all the damage and devastation it brought here to the CSRA. It's good to see a quiet tropics right now. Brittany, I hope this latest talk, this part of the Weather Aware Live just answered your question. Sorry, I'm just now seeing your comment. Good evening, Amy, as always. The system behind what is Erin, again, not a whole lot of life to it. Still looks like more than likely, if it does develop, which is still in question in my opinion, it's going to turn out to sea again. And that cold front that's moving in early next week is going to beat it to the punch, push it out to sea. That's what we like to see there, and good stuff to report. So let's go ahead and show you the 7-day forecast before we end things tonight. Again, there it is. Wednesday all the way through Tuesday. Lots of different weather. Wednesday and Thursday, hot, sunny, gorgeous, typical August, typical summer. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, unsettled, cloudy, cooler, showers and thunderstorms, and we're not going to see much in the way of severe weather, but we could see some short-lived road ponding when the rain really begins to pile up during those few days. So just keep that in mind. Don't cancel your plans, but just keep into consideration that rain will impact your plans at times Friday and through the weekend. Then we get to Monday and Tuesday. Still toasty, still sunny, but we're going to have lower humidity moving in, and rain chances will be a lot lower, at least Monday and Tuesday, if not Wednesday into Thursday, potentially even Friday of next week. So we'll keep you posted with the rain chances. But once we get past Sunday, those are going down. Your temperatures will stay slightly below average in the upper 80s, and we'll have noticeably lower humidity with lows in the mid-60s on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning. Hopefully, that is a forecast that you like to hear. Once again, thank you guys so much for joining in for another version of Weather Aware Live. We'll have much more coming up on Thursday as well, tracking the tropics, and a special interview with a special guest. We're going to be having that as well, debuting on YouTube on Fox 54, as well as our Facebook here on Fox 54. We're excited to tell you who that special guest is. We're looking forward to that here on Fox 54 in the days ahead. So hope you stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay dry Friday through Sunday. We'll have much more on this coming up on Fox 54 News at 10.